What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Lionel Messi fan page podcast.
Nice.
I have my co-host right here, Alex and Elias. Say
Hey
hi,
guys, how's
guys.
it going?
What's good?
So let's start by saying that I called all this. I called it out. I predicted it 3-0.
Bro, look at this
And
guy, dude. Bro, you can't
let
take this guy
what
anywhere.
let what did go off. I mean, Elias over here said 1-0. Clearly, he's a little off. But I
And
mean,
I didn't make it, but my original score prediction was two
okay,
one
no,
us.
you're
No, no,
irrelevant.
no, no. But hey, I would much rather be wrong and like have the game end 3-0 than 1-0. But
Hey,
hey, the dub is a
Hey,
dub.
you almost rather be wrong and make the prediction live than not be on the live yesterday. So Alex, shut up. Um, but nothing. I mean, I called it. The Young was gonna start. He played a really good
Yeah,
match.
yeah.
You see the change in pace of the game. Busquets at this point, he's always been a guy to slow down the game, but now he's just slowing it down even more than it needs to be slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And that needs to be the midfield of the future. The young Pedri Gavi, we saw what they can do. I love Ferran on the wing. I didn't think that was going to be a good idea putting Ferran and Fati together, but it worked. And there's not much to say. I mean, the defense held up. I mean, um, kind of surprising that they sat down Garcia at the start of the game. They rather go with Alonso as center back. And I mean, at right back, well, we called it. It was gonna be Sergio Roberto. Like, there's not much else to say. But I mean, it was a dominant match. So
yeah, and you mentioned a few things that I agree with and that I think are important to going back to. First of all, like you said, De Jong was extremely important in the game. We've said this time and time again. Unfortunately, as great as he's been for us, Busquets' time is up, and it's time for him to start considering either retirement or going to,
no, he's not gonna
an
retire.
easier league. Yeah, I
No,
know, but maybe consider going to MLS or a league like that.
no,
But
but, like he can still like have like a bench role. Like remember like how like Xavi in the 2015 season, like he was basically used as a sub to give like rest to Rakitic. I think Busquets could like. I think Busquets is still at that level where he can play top level football. Just I don't think he can start the most important games.
that might be so. But I don't know. Like, I just feel like all of our games are important right now. And I know
Mm-hmm.
obviously you got to treat every game like it's a final night. That doesn't happen, but players still try their hardest every game. But now more so than ever, right? We're most likely going to be out of the Champions League.
Yeah.
But in the off chance that we do make it, it'd be nice to win our two last games comfortably. Although Bayern will always be a difficult game.
Yeah,
And
I know who tough.
well, be that as it may, right? We're digressing. The important thing is the young played a very good game today. Played very well, very solid in his position in the midfield. Very good in attack, pretty solid on defense, and overall he was doing his duties correctly, and it was important for our victory today. And another thing that Alvaro mentioned that I've been saying for a while now is Ferran had a good game.
Yeah.
He wasn't on the scoreboard, but like I said, he's someone that needs to be present in that team, needs to be in that starting 11 more often. No hate to Rafinha or Dembele, but as good as they've been for us at times, they need rest, and you can have slumps in a season. I don't think Rafinha's having a particularly good time in the season right now, and I think it's good to give Ferran Torres a chance, and he's proven, right? He's proven that he deserves more playtime. Fati, I was pleased to see him score, and I think he also had a solid performance. And of course, Lewa scored two goals.
Mm-hmm.
Good little brace for him. And yeah, no, the team, like I said, it was a pretty solid performance, especially from our midfield and attack. And our defense was good too. Didn't have to do a great deal as we've had to do in other games, but I thought we were solid defensively, like we said. Alonso was solid. Same could be said about Conde.
Mm-hmm.
Conde being good too. And so I don't think Sergio Roberto had a bad game either. So at the end of the day, I think it was a pretty good team performance overall. A few things here or there that we could improve on, but I think we're building a new starting 11 that's meant for better competition because we were still this is a very big team, a lot of different players, new players, and we're still developing our chemistry. So, in other words, I think with the team we had today and with the performance we showed against a pretty decent team, which is Villareal, I think we did well, and I think this was another learning moment for Xavi and the team as a whole.
I agree with both of you. I thought nobody played a bad game today. I thought the entire team played very well. The team played, I think, from minimum an 8 to maybe like a 9. Of course, not everything was perfect, but I thought the team played very well. The defense was solid. Great performance from Kunde. Uh, Good performance from Jordi Alba as well. Midfield, I think the best player on the pitch today was Frankie De Jong. I thought Frankie De Jong was everywhere. His distribution, his recovery of the ball, his breaking through the lines. He gave so much dynamism to the base of that midfield, and I thought it was an amazing performance from Frankie De Jong, one of his best in the Barcelona shirt. Pedri, Gavi, I think both of them speak for themselves. I think both of them had a lot of the ball and were very productive with it, and were fantastic. And up top, we saw Ansu Fati and Ferran Torres both start, and I think this is the difference of having two maybe inside forwards. We look at Rafinha and Dembele, and these both are wingers. They have different characteristics than Ansu and Ferran. And I think it's good to have a squad with players that have different characteristics, because like you can't play Dembele in every single game. I think Ferran Torres and Ansu Fati, they're much more intelligent in their play. They know how to occupy runs, know how to occupy space and make the correct runs. And their overall, I think their tactical play is much better than Rafinha's or Dembele. Just they offer different things, and it was good for Xavi to mix things up. I thought Ansu Fati got a well deserved start, and then I thought the team played as a whole like very well.
Yeah, I felt that same way, and like you said, Ferran Torres and Fati at times they are more intelligent players and they make better decisions, and we saw
Hmm.
that today. As good of a player as Rafinha and Dembele are, they especially Dembele, he has moments of brilliance, but he has moments of sheer stupidity, moments where I'm like, well, does this guy even play football? And he's an amazing player, very talented, very fast, very good with both feet, and he's really a nuisance for the defense when he's playing well. But when his crossing isn't on and he's getting marked well, he's just a guaranteed lost possession. And Rafinha, unfortunately, as good as he can be, I think he needs to play with more confidence and a bit more freedom because the more I see him, I think he's just stuck to that right flank and he has to cross it or
Hmm.
do a fake or do a pass. I just don't feel like he's playing um, really. I understand Xavi is a strict coach and he wants players to have positions and roles, but I feel like right now he's being kind of a one trick pony where I'm gonna get the ball and I'm gonna do the same diagonal cross every single time, which I mean it works sometimes, but it's not a play you repeat over and over.
Hmm.
I actually want to mention something that it happens very commonly when, switching topic. When they play Sergio Roberto at right back, they switch to a 3-4-3, and honestly, I don't know what's gonna happen once Bellerin starts getting starting minutes again.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we don't have the center backs to do a good 3-4-3. Alonso at center back it's not ideal.
It's not ideal,
And,
but like
and
it was like a rotation,
we were
rotation.
almost doing a 2-5-3 because your Diablo also not like going up all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, don't play Sergio Roberto and Alba at the same time because they're both not defensive. So if you really want to have a Alonso and Conde or whatever center back combo having to take care of all the defense, then I mean I don't know if they had Alonso at left back or Baldi at left back and they had someone like Garcia at center back along with Conde, it would have been different. But and I do like the 3-4-3. I think that it can help the team. But before we can get comfortable with that, we need like an actual wall on the defense. I think, I mean, Conde is going to continue to do his thing. Garcia has to step up, and maybe when Christensen comes back,
Mhm.
and I don't see Xavi giving Conde too many minutes at right back. He's been injured, and you can't just risk it once again. And that's what happens for not going after a top right back. You have Bellerin and Roberto sharing the minutes, and it's not ideal.
Right, and I don't think it's fair. I mean, I know you don't mean in that sense, but I don't think it's fair to blame Xavi for the right back. I mean, we had a phenomenal transfer window,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
best
it's
in
just that
European football.
you can tell that I mean, when we started the season, he had Conde at right back, and Conde mentioned that that's not his position, that he'll rather be a center back.
No, but
So,
the problem with that is that the team had so many holes that the board did their as much toss
oh no, no, no,
as
no, no, and I respect it. I definitely respect it. But now we're like looking at the
yeah,
different aspects of
yeah,
the team that
yeah,
aren't clicking. They were playing Araujo and Conde at right back.
yeah.
Those two could be two of the top center backs in the world if they keep
Hmm.
working on their craft. So I mean, now in January,
Yeah.
or I mean, in January, the priority should be a right back.
Well,
I
the
mean,
board is saying that the main priorities
yeah,
for
CDM.
for the summer
Yeah,
actually, and maybe I don't know if Barcelona's going to spend big money in the January transfer window. I think more likely in the summer. It's going to be a CDM and two fullbacks because when you look at the team, those are the weakest positions: the fullbacks and the CDM. Um, and I think that is what the board is looking at upgrading. But I actually switching topics again. What do you guys think of when Gerard Piqué was coming onto the pitch?
the
When he was,
whistling.
yeah, the whistling.
I mean, he
Well,
has no business on this team. He
Yeah,
doesn't.
and
And
you know,
no matter how good he does as a sub in a 3-0 game at home in La Liga, the,
but are you in favor of whistling Piqué?
I am. I mean, I really I feel more bad if I had to say that. I feel more bad for Busquets, who, I mean, he's been the captain. He's been through it all. He's been way more consistent than Piqué. If I was Laporta and Alemany, I would let go of Piqué and Busquets in January. I know it won't happen, but that's that weight. Piqué's coming in because they have no other choice. All right, I see a youngster from Barca B coming for center back. Piqué's just there for brownie points. I mean, he he has no business on this team. I really don't care about the whistling. I mean, if he had showed up in games like Inter and games like that, I would be a little against it. But I mean, he didn't show up at all. And I mean, I don't think Busquets is going to get much whistling. I mean, he has been way more consistent on and off the field for Barca. So I mean, they both know they're gone, and same thing goes for Jordi Alba. So
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but I would have to say that I'm against the whistling because at the end of the day, the whistling does two things. First of all, you're ridiculing a player, especially a player that's been with us for so long and has been so important
Barca
for.
legend.
Yeah, it's a club legend. I understand. Maybe he's a very cocky person and he talks a lot and um, his performances have been terrible for the past few years. Not the past few years, but for the past season or so, he's obviously past his prime and he's not the man who he once was. But you can't be whistling your players, especially when you're already experiencing a lot of problems in your team, such as low morale, and your players. You can't be doing that because whether you like it or not, he's gonna be one of your choices for defense. If God
uh,
forbid Conde gets injured or Garcia can't play, guess who's gonna play center back?
all I'm gonna say is this: the best fan bases are the ones that can change the that can change the level of a player.
I I,
If
I agree,
if
and that
if,
comes with.
if and we see this throughout many sports, American football, baseball, not basketball, not as much, but we see it in bigger crowds. The strongest fan bases that people say that are the most hated, they're the ones that no matter how loved the player is, if they're struggling to the point that they are not that they're like diminishing the performance of the team, they're the ones that they're not responsible, but they're the ones that have the
Mm.
chance to make the player realize, look, they're booing me, they're whistling me. I gotta step it up. And maybe Pique's too deep into his career to care about that. But I mean, he has a chance now that Garcia hasn't been playing as well. Conde is still getting back to it. Christensen, we'll see when he's back. So I mean, he has his chance to at least win some hearts back. But that's the best way.
I agree with you.
And he's gonna be a big piece of this team after he retires. He says that he wants to be president, which I mean, who cares? I
I
mean,
mean, it's gonna
he's
be
gonna play a
tough.
role. He's gonna play a role. He's a Barca legend, but
Yeah, I think what you're saying is just like two different perspectives. Like I agree with you, but at the same time I don't. I agree that you gotta sometimes you gotta show someone hard love. Be like, hey, like you're just not doing well, like, and I'm gonna show you. And I get it, but I don't think whistling a player on the pitch is the right way. It makes you, I don't know. I just think it makes the club look bad, and it's ultimately damaging for
also
the
one thing
company.
regarding that, well, you gotta realize that he's complaining about minutes. He's complaining to Xavi about he's been complaining to Xavi throughout the season.
Right,
Well,
If
which
it,
is why I'm not as sympathetic to him as if it
yeah,
was someone like
and
Busquets, like you said.
yeah.
But
and
still, I don't think it should be done.
if a player sits on the bench and understands, look, I'm not that guy anymore, or you know what, maybe they think I'm still that guy, but they don't see it as that way. I'll just continue to stay ready and get the minutes. If you complain because you're expecting something, the fans are gonna know that everything, every word gets around nowadays. If he's complaining about minutes, and that's another reason probably why they're booing him, because they're saying you're getting your minutes, you're not doing much. So
What I think this stems like the problem this is all like stemming from is that I think PKs and like for example the captains I think their Barca career is way past from where it should have ended. I think PK should have been gone. Maybe even after Anfield, maybe like after that 4-0 defeat, even if you want to stretch it, um,
Roma.
after Roma or the game against Bayern, where he comes out and saying, "Hey, if this club needs new blood to rejuvenate and revitalize the squad, I'm the first one to leave." I think from then you're just overstaying your welcome. It hurts to see Barca legends being booed in the camp now, at home, when you realize like usually
no,
when a
but
player is being booed,
ultimately,
it's like yeah, like this is also why I'm like I
but
completely agree with you. Like PK has brought this up on like upon himself because he should have left years ago when he was still at a high level, but no,
no, and that's exactly what you're saying. This is
yeah,
more of the front office's fault. They didn't realize that his time is not there anymore. He's past his time, and they should have pulled the trigger earlier. Now they're just exactly overstaying, like keeping him longer and longer on this team,
no,
and he's not
he,
being
but he
more.
should have also said like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna give up the rest of 2 years of my contract. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna
I
leave.
agree.
Just like how Iniesta did, the same thing how Xavi did, the
Yeah,
same thing that Carlos Puyol did. All of these guys knew that their time was up. Maybe
But
they could have kept
but
on playing, but they weren't gonna perform
but
at their
then
very
you
best.
compare those two, and I know that some players are completely different on and off the field. You compare Puyol, Xavi, and Iniesta, how they are as individuals. You
Yeah,
compare them to Piqué. There's there's a fine lining.
yeah, exactly.
So, and another thing that I wanted to say when you mentioned that the captains are on their way out, it's about time to give Ter Stegen the title.
Well, I think the captains is gonna be Ter Stegen, Araujo, Gavi, and
Yeah,
Pedri.
no, yeah, no. But I think that until the Stay is out, I mean, he's having an unbelievable season after
Yeah,
having a terrible season. So I think it's a little embarrassing that the Sergio Roberto. I know Sergio has been there for a long time. I think it's a little embarrassing and humiliating for Ter Stegen to not have the captain title. Because I mean, Sergio Roberto is just he's playing because of injuries. Ter Stegen's gonna be playing no matter what, and he saved this team. How many one goal games have we had? Unos cuantos. We've had quite a few.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, without him, we will not be as close as we are to Madrid. We will have probably been more clearly out of the UCL. I mean, if we lost to Inter when we tied 3-3, we would have been we wouldn't even have a chance. And he made some saves. So I mean, I think it's time of the game the captain title, like defensively.
Mhm.
And after he's gone, then Araujo, Pedri, Gavi, whoever they want.
I agree. Going back to one of the points that you mentioned earlier, Alvaro, I think that that Araujo and Conde being played right back. I think that's something that we can actually criticize Xavi for, because I understand, you're trying to build a top defense, but listen, you already have four good center backs. You have Conde. I'm talking about when they're healthy. You have
Yeah,
Conde, Araujo, Christensen, and Garcia. Now, you can do two things with that. You could deviate away from your formation and play a three-man center back team with Araujo, Conde, and Christensen, which most likely he wouldn't do. Or you can start Araujo and Conde, and you figure out the right back and left back situation another way. I know it's easier
that
said than done, but
Yeah.
look, this is my only issue with Xavi right now, and it's something that I said, is his lack of risk taking. Today we saw some of that risk taking. I understand, not that important of a game, still important, but not as important as a
Yeah.
Clasico or
But he did what needed to be done. He dropped the important players.
right.
He started the players who performed well. The players who
Right. No,
performed well, they
I
played.
what
understand. That's the thing.
What Alex just said about the risk taking, it can be seen it can be seen in two different ways. It's true that Xavi wants to. He really loves the 4-3-3. He doesn't have the players for a 4-3-3, and it's simply coming
Currently, he doesn't.
for one position.
Yeah, that's my issue with him. He doesn't
It's
have
coming from
right
one
now. He doesn't
position.
have full
He has the
backs,
center backs. He has. Trust me, he has a midfield for that. He doesn't have the right
and
back.
he has the offense.
Yeah.
But what you said about the risk taking, he's already taken many risks putting Araujo and Conde at right back.
I mean, but like, hey, we have
But
to make what we
that
do.
doesn't feel like a risk,
The
because
major, no, it doesn't feel like
the
a risk
way
because
but this is what I want to say. The way Xavi wants to implement fullbacks is the way they were used in his Barcelona days, where you had Dani Alves joining the attack, making crosses, scoring goals. He doesn't have the
no,
players for that. In a modern day of football, you can't have four center backs. You can have a white center back. That's how Conde and Araujo play. As great as defending as they are, they don't have the pace, the technical ability, or I think it even boils down to a bit of the intelligence to be playing as a fullback. So I think the biggest problem and the biggest mistake that Xavi has done is trying to force a formation, like how you said that we don't have the players for currently, and that's what I was alluding to when I was mentioning this. I honestly think Xavi is so much better off playing three men at center back, and then I think a 3-5-2 is good for Barcelona. I think,
no, it's just crazy
or
how we have.
if not a 3-5-2, you could very well play a 3-4-3. I don't
Yeah,
see what the
possibly.
problem is. And I'm not talking about playing the 3-4-3 in game. I'm saying playing it from the get go, having Christensen, Araujo, and Conde. And then in your midfield, not even playing with white players in the midfield, playing with four midfielders. You can play with Xavi. I mean, sorry, with Gavi, Pedri, De Jong, Kessie. Like, that
You have
midfield is so.
options. You have
No,
options.
and it's just crazy that
And then
again,
up top, you can figure it out with the wingers. I
again,
honestly think that is such a good formation for Barcelona.
if we had like three holes in the starting 11, the 4-3-3 is all a window, but it's only one. And when do we last have a reliable right back?
To Dani Alves.
It's since Dani Alves left.
When was that?
Yeah. 2015, 2016.
Yeah, that's when he left. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
been 7 years since we've
Yeah.
had a good right back. I think it's a little
Yeah,
ridiculous.
because then we had
They
Semedo, Sergio
found
Roberto.
gems in the midfield to replace Xavi and Iniesta. They found gems at center back. They found apparently they found a good youngster with Balde at left back. If they wanna give him the
Yeah.
chance,
I'll tell you right now,
they have the right back.
on paper, on paper again. I'm not talking about in game. On paper, our defensive units today is stronger than that of Prime Barcelona.
What?
On paper, player
On
per
paper.
player. Listen, listen.
Bro, what is this guy saying?
Listen to no. This is a hot take, but listen to what I'm gonna say. On paper, we have Araujo in his prime, which is now. This is gonna be a very hot take, but in his prime, PK was not a better defender 1v1 than Araujo.
No, of course
PK
not.
wasn't-
No, we won't. But like his reading of the game,
Alex,
his positioning.
I understand. No, let me finish. Let me finish. You're gonna see where I'm getting with this. But let me see where I'm getting with this. Let me see where I'm getting with this. The only defender that has not been replaced in Barcelona was Carlos Puyol. He has not been replaced. There is not a player in that team with a defensive commitment and and uh and the courage to play.
I think Araujo mentality wise, he's more similar to Puyol than he's
No. Okay,
Wait,
I
but
understand.
we're not like
The only
deviating
thing-
like
the only
away
thing
from
that
the
I'm saying
game.
is-
Like we're talking about the game.
Listen. The only thing that I'm saying is we've had Jordi Alba since like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay, that hasn't changed. we had Dani Alves. That's another position. But center back wise, the only player we couldn't replace was Puyol. Piqué, I think we've replaced.
Right back.
No, I
You don't have
said
a right back.
aside in terms of center backs, our defensive unit on today on
No,
paper
I mean right
with the
back.
current standards, I think it's slightly stronger than that of our prime team. And when if you want to speak of prime, do you
You
want to
don't
talk
have a right back.
2012, 2015?
You don't have a right back.
That I agree, but I'm saying
Okay,
not
okay,
every
okay,
position is better.
but you gotta realize that gets to the point that you have that you can't even play your formation correctly. So I mean,
Mm.
I understand that
I
yeah
am.
we
That's
have
what I'm
great
saying
center
on paper. I'm not saying how it plays out in
no,
game.
but yeah, but on paper who's a right back?
Okay. But right now we're just like going into like different topics of discussion. Going back to like to today's game because this is like a conversation for like a different day. How would you rate tonight's performance from a scale from one being atrocious, one to 10 being a masterpiece?
I think it
I'll,
was an 8, 7.58.
yeah, I was saying 8 because it didn't score in the second half, but they were I told you they were pissed. They were pissed about the Clasico.
I'm gonna be a
So
harsh critic. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I take
7.5.
back my 8
Okay.
because listen, my main problem with this team is also the lack of urgency that we have playing,
No, but
and
they did play with urgency today.
but and for the lack of a better word, the lack of balls that this team has, because
Yeah.
we see teams that on again, and this is why I like talking about things being on paper and being in reality. Real Madrid on paper, their team is the same as us, if not slightly a little worse,
But they play better.
but they play with balls. They're a team that plays with confidence. They're a team that's there to win. And
Mhm.
we see that over and over. In the Champions League, they were playing against much tougher opponents on paper. And what happened?
Yeah, they win.
They won. And that's what
no,
makes good players good, and that's what makes bad players bad. It doesn't matter what your name is. It doesn't matter if your name is Virgil van Dijk, if your name is Maldini. It doesn't matter. If you're not playing to the standard that you're required, you're
I,
as good as an academy player.
I'll give the match an 8 simply because I mean clean sheet. You win 3-0 against a team that's not as bad as people
No, I
see them.
understand it's a tough opponent, but
And
you
I
always
mean
gotta be more demanding of your team. These are games that we gotta win 6-7-0. I don't
no, I
care
mean,
who the opponent is.
no, you can't say 6-0 because this team has not. No, I think that
No, because remember
what
this team like goes far and with like under Unai Emery, like
I,
this
yeah,
team
I
competes in like
understand that. I
European.
understand that,
I
but
feel
this is
like
a team that parks the
I feel
bus.
like
This team parks the bus, controls the midfield slightly, and then creates some chances of counterattack. It isn't a
I
team
feel
that we
like
should be.
this match would have been a 10 out of 10 if it had been like a 4-0. Because
A,
at that
little bit
point,
higher than yeah. Just because like
but
we haven't been like tested defensively, we
but what
we attacked well, we controlled the game.
what last game? What was last game that we had that we won comfortably by 3 goals?
Some
Pleasant,
let me look.
Who?
Pilsen, Pleasant. He
Pilsen.
says, um,
That was a minute ago.
no against Elche. Against Elche. That was the last game
What?
before the international break.
Right. Yeah.
That was a minute ago. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, at home.
No, I mean it happens. Look, there's nothing that I want more than for this team to be succeeding and for this team to be doing well. But
Yeah.
I know as controversial things as I've said, I do believe we have an arguably as strong unit defensively because what also helped us back then was that our defense were good offensively, and that's something that gets overlooked. Dani Alves scored plenty of goals. Dani Alves, and this is something we got to remember, he wasn't the greatest defensively. He was a good defender. I'm not taking that away from him. But there's better defenders than him. There's Zanetti.
He
Zanetti was an
he
arguably better defender
he
than he
he,
was.
he played for the right style.
Yeah.
I agree with you, and I think that's also what makes a player great, knowing how to fit in. But
No one that we
and you
have
know, and you want to know what
this Xavi's
already,
style.
you want to know what made Piqué a very great center back as well? His goal scoring ability. It's the same with Ronald Koeman,
Yeah.
and it's the same with all these center backs.
You know
That for
what?
one reason or the other.
You know what? His goal scoring ability cost us the goal against Inter.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Consider
but
the goal
that's what
against
I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay. But before we round off, who was your the man of the match for today's performance? Lewandowski,
I'm
who scored the goals, De Jong, who had like a very good game in the midfield, or Kunde, who played amazing in
gonna
defense.
keep it simple. I'm just gonna say Lewa.
Yeah,
Level.
he got 2 goals.
2 goals.
I give it to him.
Okay.
I Gavi. I mean the midfield dominating.
Yeah, the midfield. I'll go to for Frankie.
Busquets better not see No, and
No, no,
I'm
no,
not.
no, no, no. From today's performance, Frankie Dio's performance, I think
I'm
he's
not ranking on him, but from now on, he better come off the bench. You
If
can.
I if I have to give a second man of the match, probably Samuel Umtiti for not being in the team.
Samuel Umtiti.
Yeah, no, but for second man of the match, I mean, probably. I mean, Gavi played great.
Yeah,
I probably give
Gavi.
it to De Jong.
De
Yeah.
Jong played great, but yeah,
I mean,
for
But
yeah,
again,
now,
like two fantastic goals from Lewandowski. I think it's hard to not give him the man of the match, but I think Frankie de Jong also had like a spectacular
and
performance.
Fati had
and
a decent little game too.
Yeah, yeah, he had
I'm
a
not sure
decent
if you
game.
guys noticed this. You remember that I was joking around saying that Barca was playing at 2-5-3 because Jordi
Yeah,
Alba played it. In this game specifically, that they didn't have real fullbacks. The Young was almost playing center back at some points,
yeah. Well, I mean,
And
he tried to receive the ball.
and
a
that's what I'm
reason why
saying.
I'm
I mean, if you want to define CDM, he is what a CDM is, and at times he was playing really up, helping the ball, helping push the ball, but he played great, and he almost he at some points he was almost the third center back. So I mean, I don't know what else Xavi wants to see that doesn't make him realize that the Young is a CDM of the future.
I just think Xavi needs to take a step back and realize that Barcelona has no real need for traditional wingers because Barcelona is a team that in its essence is a team that plays very horizontal. They're not a team that plays diagonal balls. They're not a team that's um, making crazy runs like I'm just saying it's a team that plays simple. It's a team that plays tiki
You
taka.
also have to realize
I honestly
that,
think I honestly think that with a 3-4-3, Barcelona would be so deadly. With Kessie and De Jong playing the double pivot,
Oh,
and then with
yeah.
Pedri,
I
Pedri and
want to see
Gavi
that.
playing up top, creating chances, not having to worry so much about their defensive role,
I
and
want to see
just
that.
having a big um a big sort of hexagon in the midfield. Not a hexagon, like a trapezoid type of shape in the midfield that the lower
yep,
the
learn your
midfielders can drop
shapes.
back a bit more, and then we just hold that and the wide areas. Plus a three-man center back formation, I think we would be such a strong defensive unit. And
All
plus,
I'm gonna say is
we give more free roll to our attackers.
you were talking about how like the winger issue and stuff like that. We also got to realize that since Dembele came to Barca, we've never had an instance when we've been able to have Dembele and Fati healthy at the same time. Because
I mean,
when
that's the
Dembele,
case now. We
and
haven't.
I'm saying that's the
Well,
case now.
we're gonna have to see that. We're gonna have to see that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like Xavi now, when Xavi can actually see, look, I have a healthy Fati. At least I'm saying right now. I'm not saying a month from. I'm saying right now. I have a healthy Fati. I have a healthy Dembele. Ferran's playing good. Now's when he has to realize who's the starter and who's on the bench. It's not like last year that you can only play Ferran and start Fati and Depay. No, now you
But
have
you know
options.
what? At points, this is the best. That was the best way we were
And that's
playing.
what I'm saying. When they signed Rafinha and kept Dembele and got Lewa, we all thought that the Ferran's gonna be overshadowed by all that, and he has
I've been
been.
saying this. I've been
He's been
saying he's a quality
no, no,
player.
no. We've all accepted that he's a good player, but we never thought he was gonna get so many minutes as he has. And will that three man on top work from now on? Who knows? It
This
worked
is
good
this is
today.
gonna be probably the second hottest take of the night after my infamous Barca's defense now is
Yeah,
better
yeah.
comment. But I think Dembele and Rafinha are impact subs. They're not starters.
I think they're starters with the right combination. Them at the same time are terrible.
They are impact subs. They're players you put on in the 60th minute against tired legs. Trust me, their pace
We,
and their crossing is not gonna
I'm just gonna leave it at
be able
this.
to be stopped.
I'm just gonna leave it at this. If you start Pedri, Gavi, and De Jong in the midfield,
Uh-huh.
and you start Fati or Ferran on the wing mixed with Dembele, we have not seen that yet. We'll see how that works. If that's one formula altogether, that midfield that was today with or with Fati or Ferran on left wing and the on the right, we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
That's a whole different play style. So we'll see.
Okay, but to round off before we end off today's episode, final thoughts.
Gotta keep winning.
I keep
Yeah,
winning.
you need a trophy.
Yeah,
It,
perfect.
it, it, it's respectfully, it's Xavi's ass on the line if he doesn't win a trophy this year.
Yeah.
So,
Well, my final thoughts on the game. It was a much needed performance. We needed to win to regain confidence. We have a big game this weekend against Atletico Bilbao. Valverde is going to be coming back to the Camp Nou. We're in this. Atletico Bilbao are in very good form. This team um, is going to need to perform again this weekend before we receive Bayern Munich in the Champions League next week. It's going to be a tough week for us, and we need to keep the winning momentum going. We got the win
Don't
today.
change a thing.
Exactly.
You said Christensen's still out, right?
Yeah, it's reported he's going to be back for the game against Bayern,
Bayern.
but
Bayern.
we'll see. We'll see. But guys, that was it for today's episode. As always, subscribe, like, and comment. And if any of you guys want to join the hangout and discuss with us, I post a link on Twitter. You guys can join and give your thoughts. But we'll be back this weekend for our preview for the Atletico Bilbao game, and we'll see you guys all in the next episode.